Hello, one and all. We are about to get started here, and I'm trying to go live on Facebook. We'll see if that's working. But welcome, everyone. Glad you could join us today. And we're just going to let folks pour in for a minute or two and see how that flows. Looks like we're live on Facebook. I'll wait for confirmation from the team. And a share over to the group. Because again, it's not letting me put it on the group, just the page. So the new Facebook.
And that's a yes to us being live on Facebook.
Welcome. Welcome, Facebook. Welcome, people on Zoom. Glad you could all join us today for a pre-holiday edition of Tea with Lee. We're very excited to hang out with you all again. And we do love doing these Tea with Lees and getting a chance to connect with you all and answer some questions. So here's how this is going to go today, as per usual. I'm going to turn off that noise. And then, so we're going to start out today with a little bit of a moment from Lee, kind of helping us get present and get settled after I take care of all the housekeeping stuff. You ready to get us present and settled over there, Lee?
I am. I'm getting this teapot just right.
Just
ready.
Perfect. Well, I'm also getting my tea ready. And today I've decided to drink the old classic unblended brick. Did I ever tell you I have a one teapot that's just purely dedicated to unblended brick?
No.
The whole time it's been alive, it's only ever had that one tea in. Just kind of a weird.
Wow. That's like marrying your high school sweetheart or something.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
High school tea heart.
Tea heart. Oh, that's cute.
So those of you who are pouring into Zoom, there's going to be a Q&A session coming up soon. And how that's going to work is the Q&A button here in Zoom is the way to ask questions. If you ask them in the chat, we just won't be able to see them because we're also going to be monitoring the Facebook feed and the comments there looking for questions. So if you're on Facebook, feel free to just add a question in the comments, and later Zach will come over and bring your questions over to Lee. But if you're here on Zoom, use the Q&A button, and that'll allow us to get through as many as we can and keep track of them. And if you haven't yet, please jump into the chat room. And when you do, make sure to change that drop down so it says all panelists and attendees, because otherwise nobody else can see you. It's just us. And type in your message. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We'd love to see where everybody's tuning in from. 7 a.m. Thursday in New Zealand. Hey, Sharon. Got the Jersey floor. We got Florida. We got Holland. Napa, California, that's pretty close. Arlington, Mass, not as close. Mate, somebody's drinking mate. People are jumping the gun on the what kind of tea are you drinking question today, Lee.
They're jumping the gun. Oh, yeah. Hey, you know, I'm doing a fun little thing since it's the holidays. I got two teapots going, and they're both 7572. I mean, I'm just really being a geek about this today just because it's fun and I'm at a tea table. So I got this 7572.
Huh?
And then I got another 7572. And I was curious, what's the difference? Because there's two different companies, two different places, yep. Two wonderful, both of them I've been enjoying. And so I'm going to alternate a little bit and go yin and yang and see, really geek out on it and have the kids taste test a little bit of 7572, see if we can notice any differences. But they're both fantastic.
I'll bet you will.
Yeah.
Yep. They're an interesting beast, the 7572. For those of you who don't know what he's talking about, 7572 is a pu'er tea. And it's a famous formulation, basically. This numbers come from during the Cultural Revolution in China when the Communist Party took over owning everything in the country. So they standardized how all the tea factories and tea producers would name their teas with numbers. So 75 is the year, first year that this formulation was made, 1975. The 7 is the leaf grade, and then the 2 at the end is the factory number. So the Chinese during the Cultural Revolution standardized how they named these teas. So 7572 became a famous formulation that people continually recreate. They try to recreate that flavor, and every year, of course, the weather is different, the tea is different, the harvests are different, and so people try to hit that flavor profile with whatever materials they have to work with each year. And a lot of different tea makers, pu'er tea blenders, will do that every year. So there are a lot of 7572s out there. Some are really, really bad, and some are quite delightful. So good luck with that. I'm excited to hear how it progresses as our session goes on, Lee.
Okay, I'll keep you posted.
Great.
No, because it does with pu'er, it takes, you don't drink the tea with just your taste buds. You're drinking the tea with your energy and your brain and your neurology. So because it has such an effect on you, you have to see how your energy system digests this tea. And that's what's fun about it, because it does give you a nice Qi infusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I always say that pu'er is one of the best Qi delivery systems for anything you could ingest, because it just, as you say, it lights it right up. But some of them, especially the young raw pu'ers, for me, it's just the wrong kind of Qi.
Yeah.
Too high a quantity all at once. Too much yang Qi gets stuck in my head, and then I have to do microcosmic orbit all day long just to pull it down.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, now that we're here and we've gotten up and running, and for those of you who missed it, please do feel free to jump in and ask questions, put them in the Q&A box on Zoom, or put them in the comments if you're watching on Facebook. And if you are on Facebook, there should be a comment on the post if you'd rather come over and join us in Zoom. You're welcome to do that. And also, please do, if you haven't already, and I see a lot of people have, now's a good time to jump in, let us know what kind of tea you're drinking today in the chat. And again, make sure when you're in the chat to set that little blue drop down to all panelists and attendees. Shu cha pu'er. Cha is Chinese for tea. And shu actually could mean one of two things. It could be a gushu pu'er, which is old trees, and sometimes those could be raw. Or it's another way to spell the thing that's often spelled shou, S-H-O-U, which means ripened or cooked, or this sort of composting process they use to speed up the aging of the tea. Ripened rose pu'er. Ooh, that sounds good. Got some green tea, matcha mushroom blend from Om. Oh, I've had that one. That's really good. Have you had that? Om teas?
Oh yeah, with the mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
I know, it's good. Yeah.
Some black tea. Somebody's still working on their coffee. Hey, Lori, that's fine. And baking pies, right? It is a season of baking pies.
Isn't that called South American tea?
Yeah, coffee. It is. Mr. Holden, what do you got going tomorrow? You doing family stuff? You got your brood of children? You got your upcoming child?
Yeah, I know, it's a big one. We got I had all the cousins over last night, and we had a bonfire on the deck. Right. Played they like playing hide and go seek around in the dark here at night, and then we had a bonfire and just had a great time. They were up way too late. I just made them all pancakes. They're busy doing something, so here we are.
Perfect.
Great. And then tomorrow I'll pick them up from their moms. We'll celebrate a little bit, then I'll bring them over to my family, and we'll do some Thanksgiving and celebrating and gratitude here at my house.
Yeah, that's nice. That's great. Yeah, I know you've got your family bubble, which is great. Yep. I know you also have a new niece, is it?
Oh, I have a new nephew.
Nephew, it was a nephew.
Brand new nephew. And the exciting thing is, so my nephew was born 3 weeks ago, and my partner, Hetty, and I are expecting a new baby any day. So it's going to be a blessed holiday season.
Yep.
Due date is December 10th, but we're feeling like it's probably coming early, and we're feeling like full moon time, like December 1st, 2nd.
I didn't think the full moon was then. I thought it was like, what do I know?
It's the 30th.
It is. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but you know, babies like to come around full moon.
I've heard that.
And the nephew, he came on Halloween. My sister was talking about feeling cramps, and he came the next day, November 1st, and that was full moon.
That was full moon, all
So
right.
we're like, okay.
Get some lunar cycle Holden children.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, tell you what, Lee, let's settle in. Why don't you give us a little bit of a getting present moment?
Yeah.
And then we will move on to do some Q&A.
Wonderful, everybody. Well, you know, it is the season of gratitude, Thanksgiving, of being grateful and of sharing and giving. And, you know, it's the season of connection, and that's what the holidays are about. And this is a different year, and this is, you know, changing things up on us a little bit. So we have to get creative. When we're under stress, change, and transformation, often what the energy or the universe is calling for is creativity. What is our new vision of who we can become and who we are? And so this just gives us an opportunity to step back, recreate, and create that vision. And that vision, how can we live with more gratitude and grace and flow? And so let's toast and put some attention and some energy on our new vision and what we can create as this holiday comes up, ways in which we can get creative and how we can connect with our loved ones, new ways. We might be at a distance, but you know, through energy and energy practices, we know that we're connected through our heart space. You know, like our technology, we can really connect with each other authentically through energy. And so let's bring our cups to our heart as we do, and just make a little circle here. Take a few breaths as you feel where you are in the moment. Feel the chair at your back and the feet on the ground. And take a slow, deep breath and just bring your attention to a few things in your life that you're grateful for. The people, the experiences. And sometimes we need to go to the simple. Be grateful for the simple things, a flower, a sunset, watching the moon rise, whatever that might be for you. And just bring some attention there, because as we bring attention to what we're grateful for, we start to cultivate that energy, and it comes into our lives with more abundance. And so here's to the abundance of things to be grateful for. Cheers to you, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. And cheers to you. Thank you, Lee. That's delightful. It is one of those odd years. I say one of those like I've lived through one like this before, but I never have. And it's an interesting thing. So we have a blog post that went out today about how to share this 11-minute routine that's designed to help you connect at the heart level with the people who are far away from you. So if you you could do that yourself and just sort of send out loving and compassionate energy to them, or you can do it with them or have them do it at the same time wherever they are. So if you haven't seen that, there's an email that went out about it. It's just a little Thanksgiving gift to kind of help people feel a little bit connected with their loved ones. If you want to go to our website, go to the resources, navigation, go to articles. It's the top article there. Zach just posted a link in the chat as well. So yeah, it's about 11 minutes, not a huge big deal, but if you can talk your distant family members into doing it at the same time, that'd be cool. And if not, just do it yourself and send them some love. So hope you all enjoy that.
Hey, somebody just posted the reason why babies are born in full moon is because the animals are safer, because the moonlight shines and you could see the predators.
That's fascinating.
That's an interesting thing. She said the calves are always born around the full moon.
That is fascinating.
Yeah. So, wow. And Hetty, my partner, she's a nurse, and she says lots of babies in the hospital are born around full moon too.
Well, and I know you guys live in a cave on the savannah. So
yes,
it's really important.
We really do.
Yeah.
So this is a cave painting here.
Three treasures cave painting.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thanks, Lee. I appreciate that getting started. And again, also I appreciate the 11-minute routine that you sent out. I think that's great. And I'm happy.
Yeah, that was fun to make. I'm just thinking about people. I know, people, it's challenging times. Everybody's having their challenges because change is hard, and also not being able to find our routine and our rhythms that we normally are in. And it's been a long time. And so we need something to settle us into ourselves and really develop the relationship within ourselves that we really want. And if we're not around a lot of family, or we have a lot more solitary time, it's really important to have some practices to lean into, to invest in, and that really make you feel good from the inside out. And whether there's people around you or not, life can be challenging. And when we have those resources to go inward, to connect authentically to who we are and feel that divine connection, everything else is a lot easier and goes with a particular flow and rhythm that feels good to us.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, on that note, shall we dive into this Q&A box here?
Let's do it
for now. And again, if you're on Facebook, please go ahead and put comments with your questions, and Zach will bring as many of those as we have time for over to us later. And for now, we're going to jump into the Q&A in Zoom, and we probably won't have time for all of them, but we will get through as many as we can, and we will do what we can. If you don't get your question answered, you can always get a question answered by writing into our support team, support@holdenqigong.com. So please feel free to do that if you don't get your question answered. And if the team doesn't have an answer because it's a common question, then we'll make sure that Lee sees it and answers it directly. So that's for the future. So
should I dive in?
Dive in. Where do you want to start?
I see Mary Lou has a good one. This is kind of an origin story question. Any good ideas for low back pain? Lots of good ideas for low back pain. Yeah. We do have the low back pain workshop. I made a DVD in 2004 for low back pain, and that's up on our website as well. So the workshop, Qigong for low back, and the legacy series, Qigong for low back pain, would both be great. So we want to do a few things for low back pain: strengthen the core, stretch the lines of tension that go to the low back, often the hamstrings and the hips. So in these routines, there's going to be more stretches and flows on the floor that open the legs, the lines of tension that connect to the lower back. You're also going to want to tonify or strengthen your kidney energy. The kidney chi is what controls the low back. So any flows that go with the kidneys can be very helpful. And in our subscription, we just did a whole few weeks on the 5 elements with the variations of different movements. And we did some kidney focus there. We do quite a bit of kidney and low back type of work in the video class subscription. So that is also a good choice. And then even in our pressure point workshop that we did a lot of points for pain and specifically low back pain. So the thing is, when we have pain, there's chi or blood that is stagnant. That is the kind of the way in which we diagnose it in Chinese medicine. So to clear stagnation and get healthy energy moving through areas of the body is the goal. And there's a variety of different ways to do that, whether it's acupressure, acupuncture, self-massage, breathing exercises, flows, or stretches. And so some combination of all of those can really help depending on the problem. And also consistency is important. What I found with low back pain is also eliminate the things that are irritating it, specifically sitting for too long, because sometimes we're in pain, we sit too long in an uncomfortable chair or compromising chair, and then the pain doesn't really heal. Even if we're doing our Qigong and then we go sit too long, that can be problematic. So get up and move, do little bits of Qigong throughout the day, keep energy circulating in that area. And I've seen wonders, and it's worked wonders on me. And that's how I got into Qigong. Partially when I was playing soccer, I had a low back injury, and Qigong is what healed my back pain. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do this for the rest of my life. So
that's why you said it's an origin story question. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. For me, getting up out of the chair and doing 2 minutes of spinal cord breathing or 2 minutes of like picking cherries,
Mm-hmm.
stretching over, any of those types of movements that do kind of get Qi flowing again in that area have just been enormously helpful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just sit for hours and hours. So it's just,
Mm-hmm.
just get up a couple minutes. It's great. Very good. Thank you.
All right. And then we have Jeannie asking November 4th class, an app that I mentioned, and that is a manual of acupuncture. The app is expensive. It's like $35, but you get videos. It's the Acupuncture app, and there's great illustrations. So it's called a manual of acupuncture based on a book by Peter Deadman.
That's right.
Rowana, I wonder if it's possible to put any moves together in the same session that could contradict each other. You know, it's possible to do that. Think of your Qigong practice like cooking. You can cook food together and just throw everything into a pot and cook it, but it's probably not going to taste good. How you season it, the order in which you cook it, the flavors that you might like particularly. So your movement practice is like that. So that's why I stage it with some kind of warming up and breathing and getting in our bodies and getting present, and then stretching the lines of tension before we go into the flows, because the flows are where it's all at. It's kind of like you're arriving. Your flow is the goal to enter into the flow state. And that's where the magic happens, but we need some preparation. So that's why we get all our energy activated, circulating, body warmed up, mind clear, tension released, and then we go into the flows so that everything is optimized. Now, for all of us, like food, we have our particular things that we might like better or worse than other things. And so as you go on your Qigong journey, you'll discover what that is. Oh, I really loved that particular flow at this particular time in my life. Or in the morning, I really like to do this. In the evening, I like to do that. And that's the process of self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And Kathy was asking that she's curious about Daoyin, wondering if you might talk about the difference between it and Qigong. And a preview of the upcoming workshop. And we're going to do some previews as we get closer to the workshop. So Daoyin is, think of it as the ancient form of Qigong. Before Qigong was called Qigong, it was called Daoyin. And Daoyin has a fascinating history because it was discovered through excavations and cave excavations. And they found these pictures on the walls of people doing exercises for health and vitality. And some of these pictures, they date back, to a few hundred years BC. And it's probably older than that. Daoyin means to guide and direct the vital principle through the body. And the vital principle is Qi. And so as time went on and more recordings came, somebody started talking about Qi, life force energy, and the skill at working with it, Qi Gong. And that became popularized. So Daoyin is has a little more stretch and floor work than our Qigong styles have. So we're going to see how Daoyin fits really well into Qigong practice. It's a moving, stretching meditation. It's more similar to yoga, but it has differences than yoga because it's meridian oriented. The reason why you're doing a particular stretch is to circulate energy. And so you're not as emphasized on how flexible you are as you are how well the energy circulates. And then we'll integrate flows and core strength, and we'll integrate standing postures. I learned Daoyin from a few different teachers. So the more martial arts Shaolin styles will have more standing routines, and the more meditative styles will have floor routines. And so it's a wonderful ancient practice that goes together. In fact, it was the very first book that I wrote for Mantak Chia in 1994 when he hired me to come to Thailand. And I wrote this book for him. And it was a fascinating process of discovery because there's not a lot written on it. So we had to go to the old archives, the old books, and look at these ancient drawings and decipher what these pictures were talking about. And he would read it in Chinese, and we'd look at the pictures, and he had his master's notes, and we put it together into a book. And later on, when I was traveling in China and other places. I met masters that had routines, Daoyin routines, for health and vitality and warm-ups before they're doing Tai Chi or martial arts. And I sort of compiled it, and I became sort of more of an expert on this subject than a lot of people in the States, because there just wasn't much knowledge of this ancient practice. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful practice, and very excited to teach it in early 2021.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. It's been one of my favorites. I see Kelly Baker weighing in. She loves it too. So hi, Kelly. How are you? Yeah, it's very powerful work. It's very potent work. It's giving it, from my perspective, it gives kind of the things I really liked about yoga and the things I really like about Qigong in one very refined practice that just feels amazing. Opens things up, gets that. It's where a lot of the low back stuff we were talking about before comes from. A lot of the things in the low back workshop and in the low back routines are pieces of the floor work from the Daoyin practices that you teach. So very excited about that. As somebody who also had a low back injury in my 20s that I lived with for a long time. Didn't go to the right Chinese doctor apparently the way you did. So
yeah, otherwise you'd be teaching Qigong and I would be in tech or something.
Exactly.
All right. Sean's asking about advice for high blood pressure. So in Chinese medicine, high blood pressure is liver yang rising, or yang energy rising. There's too much yang, which means there's too much heat in the body, which creates high blood pressure, which makes the blood pressure go up. And so we'll want to calm the liver yang. We could do that with pressure points. We talked about one in our pressure point workshop, liver 3. If you want to look that up and massage it, it's on the top of the foot between the big toe and the second toe. That's good for high blood pressure. We also have a high blood pressure routine. So look in the healing series on our website and do Qigong for high blood pressure. We're getting some great feedback on that routine about how it's lowering blood pressure. We'd love to hear how it works for you, Sean. So check that out. Do that routine 3 to 4 times a week.
Yeah, there's actually a good deal of science about now about it being as effective as the medication that they give people. So if you would prefer to do something that makes you feel amazing, as opposed to take medication that maybe doesn't make you feel amazing, and that you will have to take forever, of course you have to do the Qigong too. So there's that.
There's that. That's the thing, Qigong is amazing if you do it. It's not so good when you don't do it. If you just know about Qigong and you don't practice it, doesn't work as well.
Oh, really?
It's weird that way.
I think I've been
unless you're at a very high level where you can just do Qigong with your mind, which I've met some people that way. So, but for most of us, we actually have to do the movements and the breathing and the practice, which I find extremely fun and enjoyable. So
yeah, it feels amazing when you're doing it, and feels even better when you're finished
here's
for the rest of your day. So let's keep doing it.
All right. So we have, how about a question from Kathy? My acupuncturist thinks that earth is my primary element. Love that flow on Monday. We did some earth element. We did some holiday digestive Qigong in our weekly class. When she treated me yesterday, I told her how drawn I feel to water element. She said that as we get older, we are drawn to water. And she talked about the Jing. It was very interesting. I would love to hear your thoughts. I think all this Chinese medicine, especially 5 elements, can be fascinating in terms of life cycles. When we are different stages of our lives, different elements predominate. Like when we're teenagers, fire element is really predominating because we want social connection. And then sometimes as we get older, we really enjoy our alone time or our time in nature, and that's more water element. And so we can see water elements and fire element playing out in different times in our lives. But also we might have a predominant personality type. We might predominantly be a water element or an earth element. And you could see that in our personalities. And we talk about this in our week-long workshop, and we go through and really get to know ourselves in terms of our elements and why it is we show up in life the way we do. And we might even understand how our relationships why we choose the relationships. Maybe we're choosing relationships where we really lack in that particular element. And so the whole thing is very fascinating. People have a lot of different opinions on it. And so your acupuncturist thinks that your earth is your primary element. So for me, earth is about taking care of, like Thanksgiving, earth elements love to provide the food and host and nourish everybody. They're caretakers. They're wonderful caretakers. So that's earth element. Water element is maybe after a Thanksgiving, you might be like, okay, now I just need to replenish and take some time for myself, go out in nature, sit by the ocean, take a walk by a river, go read a book by a fire. And that'd be water element, where you're really self-nurturing and contemplating life's deeper meanings. The going deep within is water. So some food for thought on the 5 elements with your questions. But like I said, acupuncturists, teachers will all have a different way of looking at the 5 elements.
Excellent.
Let's see, Jaya. She's talking about a friend of hers who has ALS. Hey, hold on a second, guys. Come here. Everybody come here and say hi to everybody. Come here. Yeah. This is my daughter, Lainey.
Hi.
And my nephew, niece, Annabelle, my daughter, Kyla. Say hi. Wish everybody happy Thanksgiving.
Happy good Thanksgiving.
We're talking about
Thanksgiving.
gratitude. Grateful for your cousins?
Yes, very.
Yeah, lucky kids. All right. Have a great day.
Awesome to see y'all.
Miley, come here.
Tomorrow Thanksgiving.
This is my shy one, Miley. Say hi. Come on.
We heard her even if we didn't see her.
Yeah, right. So they're off. All right, where was I? Oh, ALS. So ALS is a serious illness, and I know about ALS because my high school football coach had ALS for 30 years. Incredible man.
Wow.
His name was Charlie Wiedemeyer, and he coached our whole season of my senior year. And this was maybe 30 years after his diagnosis, but he couldn't talk. So his wife read his lips, told the assistant coach what the play to call was. The assistant coach called it into the quarterback, and the quarterback called the play. And the whole season, we didn't get one delay of game. So this was just like, and we won the whole championship with this coach who was an incredible story. They did a TV story on our senior year, back in the 80s. And I've had some patients and some friends and students that have ALS. And so Qigong can be extremely helpful, especially early stages. So you want to do a combination of Qigong and acupuncture. And if you start early, the scalp acupuncture can be really helpful. The scalp acupuncture opening up the nerves. And you just want to continue being consistent with your Qigong practice and your acupuncture, and it really delays symptoms and makes it a lot more manageable. But it's one of those diseases that is very challenging, and I think it's just consistent practice and work and self-discovery with that one is the best approach.
Very interesting.
Yeah, good luck with that. Here's a good one. What kinds of mental Qigong can I do after I've gone to bed? Like dream Qi.
Yeah.
Like when you're lying in bed, sometimes it's a really wonderful time to do meditation and to do some breathing practice. One that you can do is laying down if you wanted to do triple warmer sound, and that is helpful for sleeping. And that sound is H-E-E-E, and you just take a big breath. Let's all try it. You take a deep breath in all the way to your chest, and then you all the way out, and you do about 9 or 10 of those, and it's very relaxing and calming. Usually people fall asleep with that one. Slow breathing. The other thing I like to do as you go into bed is just to review the day and think about the things that you're grateful for. And if you wanted to do a little extra work, you just think about the things where you could have done better, or you felt like you had a challenging time, because those challenging times usually will repeat those circumstances, and you mentally rehearse doing it differently with a different outcome. So visualizations on things that you want to create right before bed can be very effective, with the caveat that sometimes your mind starts to get overly activated or excited and it keeps you up. So careful with that right before bed. That might be a better one to do in the morning, or do something very simple before bed. But that healing sound that we did is great for sleep. Yep. Okay. Oh, here's a good one from Michael. Does practicing Qigong increase aerobic capacity? Since those practices don't necessarily increase heart rate, like jogging or running, what are the thoughts there? So here's the thing: we do in our Qigong style, we do some aerobic and workout types of movements. The whole beginning, the swimming dragon, the wide leg swimming dragon, turtle, tiger, igniting inner fire. Those are all fairly good workouts. And if you wanted to, you just would do those a little bit longer. But Qigong is the well-rounded workout. You're going to get a workout. You're going to get some cardio, more like going for a walk than a jog. You're going to get stretching, like a yoga class. You're going to get flowing movements like Tai Chi, and you're going to get mindfulness like meditation, all in one workout. And that combination, that alchemy of movement, can be effective. It's like, again, cooking. When you add ingredients to a recipe, it makes it better than if you just, ate it by itself. And so that alchemy of movement is the seasoning of your energy system into perfection. So it's balanced yin and yang. And often we have so much yang in our life, go, 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 that the Qigong being more yin is really what is going to create health and longevity than if you went and did a whole bunch more aerobic workout. That being said, I love exercise. I love to get on my bike, hiking in nature, getting on a stand-up paddleboard. And I find that the Qigong helps with all other forms of exercise, keeps your body fit, stress-free, out of pain, so that you can ride your bike or do whatever else, dance, whatever else you love to do in your life. So synergize it. If you love to go for a jog, go for a jog and then come back and do your Qigong workout. And, you can integrate all of these for longevity.
Absolutely. I think it's a fascinating component to the whole thing is how well-rounded it is. But absolutely, those who are looking for more strenuous stuff, which I think you've mentioned also in the past, some degree of weight training, whether it's just very light, but some degree of resistance training that you tend to endorse as well. I do a lot of swimming. That's my thing. It's kind of the way I'm out there body surfing. So it's a lot like high intensity interval training. It'll be like, in comes a set and I'm just in and out, swimming fast, back to get out there really quick. And then there's like lulls in between. So that gets my heart rate up pretty good. So yeah, it's very powerful, as you say, foundational work, and it does make all those other things easier and more potent, I would say.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Really, my advice is to think about the things that you love to do. If you love to swim or body surf or go for a jog, do it. Find ways to do it. If you feel obligated and don't enjoy it very much, like, oh, I got to get in shape, so I'm going to go for a jog, even though I don't really like it, it's probably not as good for your energy as something you really love to do. So if you love to play tennis or dance or whatever that kind of exercise is, find those things, because it's good for your emotional heart as well as your physical heart.
Well said. I like that. Oh, hey, it's Charlie.
He was feeling left out because he was like not getting enough camera time. Say hi to everybody. What do you think? This guy is he's so funny each and every day.
Yeah.
What a crack up. He just drank his water, came by and drooled all over my computer backpack. So It's a sign of affection in his breed.
Yes, drooling all over you is
Yeah, it's a
definitely
good, yeah.
sign of love. Here's an interesting question. I think you'll like this. Lorraine says, when you're teaching on the table to your left, there's a book. Could you tell us more about it?
Okay.
Found the little Easter egg. Also, thank you for the hour and 25 minutes of answering our questions on the acupressure workshop. You went
Yeah.
above and beyond for that acupressure workshop. An hour and 25 minutes of just Lee sitting there with a list of questions, answering them one after the other. So thank you for that. I also thank you for that.
Yeah, we had to break that into 2 sessions because it was just so long.
It was a lot.
9 pages of single space questions.
But it's understandable because acupressure, it's the first thing we're getting into where it's like, here's all the points and all the meridians and all the stuff about Chinese medicine. It's like, here's a quick primer on Chinese medicine from the ground up. And so, of course, it spawned a lot of questions about health and wellness and the specifics. So, but for now, thanks, Lorraine, for the gratitude. And also tell us about the book on your table in this video.
The book on the table is the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching was the classic book on Taoism. It was written by Lao Tzu some 2,500 years ago. And there's a lot of mystery around this book. It's the second most popular or widely read book in the world, next to Harry Potter. It's often my joke. Next to the Bible. Next to the Bible, the second most widely read book in the world. So it's a wonderful book. It's basically a book of poems and thoughts. It's thought-provoking. It's short. Everybody interprets it a little bit different. In fact, here on my tea table, I have 3 different variations of the Tao Te Ching because it's just interesting to read different translations. That one in class I have is Stephen Mitchell's book. And there's just some wonderful translations of the Tao Te Ching. The first passage of the Tao Te Ching says, the Tao that can be told is not the real Tao. And so everything we're doing is beyond concepts and explanation. And I talk about how when you look at anything deep enough, it often will lead us into the mystery, whether it's something physiological like our heart or our brains. If we look at it deep enough and long enough, we start to enter into the mystery where we don't know. How does the heartbeat start? Why does it keep beating? Is there an emotional component? We just keep discovering more and more things about our hearts, and it's still a great mystery. And so some 2,500 years ago, Lao Tzu was saying, hey, as soon as we can explain it, it's not really it. And that is a beautiful thing about Qigong practice, is that we are talking about it, yes, but mainly we're each having our own experience of our life force energy. And this life force energy is a mysterious force that can be known from the inside out, but can't really be explained from the outside in. Because we talk about Qi doesn't mean we really know it. As soon as we experience it, we know it better. And we start to stand on that precipice of the unknown with a relationship of relaxation as opposed to stress. And that's a liberating feeling. And through the Tao Te Ching, there's talk and discourse about different ways to do this. And it's a fascinating book, and you can just pick it up and flip through it and read a passage. Some really resonate, and some are, maybe don't resonate. And it's interesting to see who resonates with which passage. And as you read it, you might find wisdom for your day, simple things, or inspiration. So I love that book, and it's a great one just to have lying around bedside table, pick up, read a passage or 2 before bed.
Yeah, it's an amazing piece of work. And I really enjoy Stephen Mitchell's translations of a lot of different things, actually. He's a fascinating character. Did you know you probably knew this, he's Byron Katie's husband?
Yeah.
In
fact, I found this out when I was teaching at Esalen, and Byron Katie was one of the headliners, and I was teaching the movement in the morning, and Stephen Mitchell showed up. And I was like,
what are you doing here?
What are you doing here? And I got to have lunch with him.
Very
so I
cool.
asked him all kinds of questions, and man, what a smart guy.
Yeah, no kidding. And he's translated a lot of stuff, not just weirdo spiritual stuff, but he's
brilliant.
quite a scholar. And I love his translations. The other interesting one, we did a co-workshop with Solala Towler, and his translation of Tao Te Ching is a little more poetic, I would say, and interesting in his commentary as well. Worth a look as well.
Yeah, I got that one right here too. And the thing I like about his version is that he gives the translation, then he gives some Qigong or meditation practices with that. And we had a great workshop at the Qi Center with Solala.
Yeah. I see a lot of questions coming through that I would like to just sort of address. There are a lot of teacher-oriented questions from students in the teacher training program, and a few of those. Please go ahead and either write those in or wait for the next Q&A, teacher training Q&A with Lee, because we have a lot of questions today, and I kind of want to get through the ones that are going to apply to a broader community. But December 2nd, a week from today, at the same time, 10 a.m., is the next Q&A with Lee for teacher training people or certified teachers. Please do come to those and come bring your questions or write in ahead of time, and you can watch the answer on the replay for those. Or of course, you can write in to support@holdenqigong.com, and we'll give you as much love as we can. So just wanted to address those because they're there, and we're not necessarily going to tuck into those right now. Here's an interesting one that I've been intrigued by also from Kim. When you take a movement like the fountain, that's for bladder and kidneys, and then you make it part of another movement like embracing the tiger, return to the mountain, or the earth flow, for example, the new exercise that has a fountain movement in it does not focus on the bladder kidney. Is the kidney bladder secondary focus? Is it common for movements to have multiple focus areas?
Yeah, and this speaks to the complexity of nature, right? Like when you look at a tree, you don't see the water element, you don't see water necessarily, but infused in the tree is the water. And without the water, there is no tree. And so when we're doing, let's say, the fountain infused into another one, the water is sort of now the background where some other elements and intentions maybe are the foreground, but it's still there. It's still part of that movement, even though it's not as apparent anymore. So when we look at a river, we see, oh, obvious, there's water. What's not as obvious sometimes when we're looking at the river is the earth elements there holding and containing the water, which it would be the banks of the river. And then when the water goes underground and becomes the trees, the water disappears and transforms. And so water is very mysterious because depending on it'll take shape to whatever you pour it into. You pour it into this cup, the water becomes this cup. You pour it into a teapot, it takes the shape of the teapot. And so the water is going to disappear and transform into many other elements, even though it's still there. So as we're doing the movement, and let's say embrace the tiger, return to the mountain is perfect. The water element's still there, but we're speaking to something else that maybe is more on the forefront now, where water is transformed into a different shape. But as you advance in your practice, recognize and still feel and sense that behind the curtain, behind the veil is the water element still.
I really like that. Great answer. Another one that I think is probably going to be somewhat common is Elaine's asking if, well, so she's saying it's hot in Brazil all over the year, and she walks on the sand every day. Can she practice Qigong while walking? And if so, what types? I know this is a common that we actually get a question fairly often about what can you do to practice Qigong while you're walking?
That's a great one. I feel like I teach walking Qigong in some of my live workshops. And I feel like that would be a good program to teach a walking Qigong practice and go through that and have somebody film it and make it nice. So that just nice planting of the seed there.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you can do a variety of things. When you're walking, focus on your breathing. Slow breathing in and out through the nose is a nice practice. So even if you're going for a vigorous walk, try just slowing your breath down and intentional breathing while you're walking, and really dropping your mind into the present moment, like listening to the sound of the footsteps, the sounds of nature, noticing the colors, dropping in layer by layer to the present moment. So a mindful breath work walk will cultivate a nice energy. So that's a simple one. The other thing you can do is walk with your hands open. So your hands more like this at your sides. And you just open your hands and start to cultivate Qi into your palms as you're walking. There's a variety of different walking movements that you can do and variety of different walking Qigongs. That being said, go for a walk, stop somewhere along the walk, do 15 minutes of Qigong practice, half an hour, and then go back to your walk. That's a really wonderful practice. You just walk somewhere and you find a location where you feel connected. Maybe there's a view, maybe there's a tree, maybe there's a particular place on the earth that feels good. Do a little practice, then return to your walk. And those are all great intentional practices to work with the energy of nature.
Yep. Yeah, I do love to find a spot in the woods in our case, although the beach is great too, and do a little bit of Qi practice in the middle of my stroll. It's quite a delightful way to go.
Yep.
In fact, often because it's so beautiful and it's so rich to do it out in nature, to do Qigong out in nature, it kind of gets me to take a longer walk than I might otherwise have made time for, to get out to a spot that's particularly powerful or nice. Got a lot of tea questions today.
I know, right? There's some for you. Have you read a book? This is from John. The book Qi Akakura.
I have not read the book Qi Akakura.
Okay, we might have to look that one up.
I'm gonna look that one up. Thanks, John. I haven't talked to John in a while. Hope you're doing well, John. I'll look for that book of tea. Wait.
Yes, might be right
Sorry.
there.
It is in fact, I just didn't recognize the Akakura, but here we go. The Book of Tea by
Oh my God, that's funny.
Akuzo Akakura. Yeah, this is basically diving into the various schools of tea and then often like the really detailed Japanese style of tea ceremony and how the tea room has to be set up and all the details about how to whisk the matcha properly and so on and so forth. Yeah, I actually really love that approach. However, I've never actually built my own little world or done the matcha ceremony myself. I've been served that way, but our style is a little more flowy Taoist than the more structured Zen.
You are such a tea geek, Ben. I mean, this mysterious question comes up and you just turn around and there's the book.
It's right here in my tea room, yeah.
That's next level.
Yep. Well, I'm a little jealous of David. You go to Hidden Peak Tea House, his tea library is shelves and shelves of tea books that, there weren't many books on tea in the 90s, but he found all of them.
Yeah, right.
Building up his collection ever since. Another question is, how am I storing all my different teas? That's a great question, Patricia. Well, I'll show you. Let's take a short detour here. Let's see if this is going to work. So I have this little tea, this thing that actually kind of came with my house. It's got my tea wares up there, but then some of the teas are stored in these little containers. So I'll break up a brick and put it in here or in one of these other containers. Like this is a loose leaf tea, and it's this great little caddy. But for the most part, the key is just to have your pu'er in a non-odorific place, and then let it breathe. So all of these teas are either just wrapped in paper, or sometimes if it comes in an airtight container, I open the package up and it lives in there, and there's no other herbs or other stinky things in there. And then when I moved into the house, it didn't smell like lacquer or anything like that. It's very clean smell wise. For a lot of folks, if you just have a couple of bricks, what I would say is keep them in a cupboard that you don't keep all your spices and other teas in. So, just something with your dishes in it. If you need to get a little box or something to put it in, that's fine. But just the key is to keep it away from odors if you're going to let it hang out for a while. So Interesting question. Nobody's ever asked that before. Can you believe that?
I know, right?
All this time we've been doing this tea sessions, and it's the first time somebody's like, how do you store your tea? Great question.
Here's one from Dana. Should I breathe through the nose or the mouth? This is a question we get fairly often. So it depends on what you want to cultivate, what energy you want to cultivate, right? So inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. This breathing is a letting go. So when we're stretching or we're thinking about something we want to get rid of or clear from our bodies, we exhale through the mouth. During flows, most often we're going to inhale, exhale just through the nose, because exhaling through the nose is tonifying. It strengthens our energy system. So depending whether you want to release energy or to retain energy, you will breathe differently. And we often will think of it just in general: exhale through the mouth, clearing, let go of stress. Exhale through the nose, hold on, maintain. It's like the energy we want to keep within us. We start to breathe in and out through the nose and refine the breathing. Okay, let's see. Somebody's talking about pain in the heel and using a golf ball, an ice pad. Foot pain, plantar fasciitis or foot pain often can really respond well to massage or, like a golf ball, working on it. It's hard because we're always walking on it. So sometimes we don't give it a chance to heal. So massage the Achilles tendon. In the acupressure workshop, that's kidney 3, and it's very good for foot pain or low back pain. Lie on your back with the foot in the air and make circles as well to stretch the Achilles tendon and all the energy lines as it goes through the foot. You can also alternate hot and cold to pump circulation in and through the foot area. Good luck with that. Let's see. Somebody's asking about the vagus nerve. We talked about vasovagal breathing, and that is when you put little pause at the top of the inhale. You can either just pause, inhale, hold for 2 seconds, exhale, and inhale for inhale, hold for a few seconds, exhale. That can help the vagus nerve, but you can just put a little pause at the top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale, and you're communicating with your breath to your nervous system. Hey, we're out of danger, which means you're out of the stress response and you're into relaxation. But all of Qigong, especially the flows, will be good for the vasovagal response. Moving your body slowly, breathing slowly. Whenever you're slowing down, you're signaling to your mind-body system, you're out of danger, you're safe, you're moving your energy and investing into the heart, your heart space, which makes you feel good, blissful, or joy from the inside out. So all of Qigong is going to be great for the vagus nerve.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Lee, I got an interesting question coming through that I just figure like we should tackle, and then we'll ask Zach to come and
Great.
field some Facebook questions. Sarah's asking if we can explain the joke we sent out about Buddha, Confucius, and Lao Tzu walking into a bar.
Yeah, some people didn't like that one.
It's a story, not a joke.
It's true.
Yep. And the story is basically this illustration of the different approaches that Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism takes to living life on Earth.
It was the vinegar story, right?
Yeah, the vinegar tasters, exactly.
Yeah, the vinegar tasters. That is a good story, and I think our team was trying to do a spin-off on that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so yeah, not a joke, no punchline, but just sort of, illustrating the differences in those 3 ways of living on Earth. Taoism's, like I said about the Zen tea ceremony versus this sort of Taoist tea ceremony, where we just sort of see which way the water's flowing this time and pour tea all over the place. And we have these tables that can drain so that we can just get loose and flowy with it and enjoy that richness of experience. Is different than the Zen style, which is much more austere. So similarly, the story just illustrates those differences. The Vinegar Tasters is a great story. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really, Taoism is about living life fully and being present and not denying any aspect of life and embracing life and embracing our human nature rather than trying to control it, manipulate it, really coming from the inside out without a lot of judgment. And, your description of the tea ceremony is very good, because pu'er tea ceremonies is a sign of life's abundance. That's why you fill up the teapot and it spills all over, even though they're these very rare or expensive teas. Often the water is overflowing and spilling in organized ways, and you're pouring off and discarding certain ones. And it's showing that, hey, life is abundant if we do this right. If we celebrate the abundance of life and tune into the abundance, we can cultivate a life of abundance. And when we look at nature, there's abundance of energy, like waves in the ocean. They continue to just flow and flow and flow. And when you stand on top of a mountain and look out over the scenery, it just looks like the forest goes on forever. And so this abundance, how do we celebrate the abundance of life and get all the elements, all 5 elements, to live in harmony with each other in abundance and be really present here on earth? So Taoism as a religion, they say heaven is a state of mind, and it's here on earth if we live in harmony with all the elements and with each other. It can be right here, right now. And so right now is all we have. And how can we be more present with everything that is right here? And that is, a little bit of that reflection of the story and the tea and of Taoism.
Delightful. I love that. Well, we have some folks who have some questions over in Facebook, and Zach is here to carry them forward to us. So thank you, all of you on Facebook, for asking your questions. And Zach, take it away.
Perfect. Yeah, we have a bunch of questions coming in from Facebook. The first is going to be from Virinda, and sorry if I'm butchering your name there. Could you recommend any background reading for Qigong? I'm interested in the history of it as well as the scientific and spiritual aspects.
Of what part? I'm sorry, Zach, it just cut out right when you were asking the question. Say it again.
Background reading for Qigong, specifically about science and the spiritual aspects.
Background is what the word I lost. Okay, so background reading, whose book I really like is Ken Cohen's The Way of Qigong. And that gives a great history, lots of science, research on, things like psychoneuroimmunology. Big word for a Qigong person, right? Psychoneuroimmunology really talks about the mind-body connection and how our immune system responds to our stress. And if we're stressed out, our immune function goes down. And if we're feeling happy and energized, our immune system goes up, which is relevant for this particular time. So if you want more background reading, The Way of Qigong by Ken Cohen.
Nice. And I put that in the chat for anyone curious. And a question from Linda regarding acupressure. Speaking of acupressure, what points do you recommend for COVID patients?
Oh, so here's what I recommend. Lungs 1 and 2, massage them, tap on them, great for prevention, and even great if you've caught it. Often catching COVID, from what I've seen, people lose sense of smell. So massaging these points, massaging lung 1 and 2, large intestine 4, great point for the immune system, and maybe add stomach 36. Large intestine 4, stomach 36 will be preventative too, just to keep your energy system strong. But the full Qigong practice to prevent the symptoms and to keep your body strong, do the Qigong for better breathing. That being said, Qigong for better breathing is very specific, but Qigong in general is going to keep your immune system strong. So if you're concerned about COVID, get plenty of sleep, hydrate, do, half hour to an hour of Qigong every day, spend a little time out in nature, getting some sunlight for vitamin D. And those 4 things, good sleep, moving your body, staying, in a positive state of mind where you're transforming stress is some of the best medicine to prevent and keep your immune system strong. Then you could add herbs or pressure points and things like that as well. But come back to the basics, come back to the simple. Your body can be very strong and powerful in its immune response when we give it what it needs: good rest, nature, low stress.
Perfect. Great answer there. And a question from John. What tea would you recommend to reduce depression and anxiety?
What did she say? Tea?
What tea? Yes.
Oh, I mean, pu'er is great. I mean, do pu'er and qigong, and it just helps you to stay in a bit of an elevated place. And so there's living, and then there's living from an elevated place where we're all trying to feel a little bit more elevation, get some perspective. That's why we all like a view. We all like watching a sunset. You know, I got a little bit of elevation. So I feel like Qigong practice is like a sunset. It's it's perfect harmony of yin and yang. It's like the sun is setting, but it's still on the horizon. That's yang. And the setting sun or night is yin. And it's just like yin and yang are in balance. And that's what our Qigong practice does. And I even feel like pu'er is that way too. It's not too yang. It's not as much caffeine as, let's say, a cup of coffee, but it's not going to bring you into a sleepy space like chamomile. So I like that I'm always looking for the sunset within myself, where it's the sunset or sunrise, that harmony of yin and yang, where you feel I'm not stressed, but my energy is up. I'm very calm and relaxed, but I have this abundance of energy within me. I might be inspired or excited about life, but it's coming from a calm place. And so navigating into those spaces within can be very liberating and freeing. And whether we're doing it with tea or qigong or breath work or meditation, it's empowering to be able to do it for yourself when you need it.
Nice. And then
I'll throw in a little 2 cents on that, just because the pu'er can be very yang if it's young sheng pu'er, so the raw pu'er. So I put a little distinction in the chat room a second ago between, and recommend a shou pu'er as opposed to a sheng pu'er. Those Chinese words, shou just means ripened or cooked, sheng just means raw. So the ripened or cooked have a much more mellow and benevolent energy, and this microbial process that breaks down the cell walls allows you to actually assimilate that qi in your energy system much more easily. So definitely need to make that distinction sometimes, because a lot of what's available on the American market is inexpensive raw pu'er that is a lot of yang energy and not necessarily super helpful.
wonderful. Thanks for that, Ben. And an anonymous question coming through. As soon as traveling is safe, do you have any plans to do any Qigong retreats like people do yoga retreats?
I do. I'd love to do that.
God.
We're missing our Qigong retreats.
This year was going to be so fun to do Qigong retreats this year, but
Yeah.
we do them all the time, and absolutely can't wait to get back to it.
Yeah. So here in Santa Cruz, we'll have retreats, and then I often, travel every other month and go teach somewhere, East Coast, Midwest, Middle East. Last year.
That's right.
Ago now. So yes, we're planning, and I'm crafting, new improved Qigong experiences, whether it's a weekend or a week-long workshop. So I can't wait for that.
Beautiful. I bet everyone will be excited for those. And a question from John. Are there any books that Lee would recommend about finding out more about the 5 elements?
Between Heaven and Earth is a great 5-element book. Between Heaven and Earth.
Wonderful. And from Isabel, what would you recommend for eczema, specifically around the face and eyes?
So anything to do with the face, large intestine 4, this pressure point here, is good. It helps to descend the qi. And the eyes would be liver 3. So you could do that. Those 4 points are called the 4 gates. And they really help to balance the energy of the head, whether it's blood pressure, headaches, issues with sinuses or eyes. So large intestine 4 and liver 3, massage those points. And then you might try our Qigong for high blood pressure. It's not only for high blood pressure, but it's really for bringing the heat or the excess energy out of the head.
Wonderful. And from Anne, I love the acupressure workshop, but I'd like to know what Lee's take is on the necessity to work points during our organs' peak hours, and also what points would be good for a long international flight.
Good question. Good question. Okay, so working points. Now, in Qigong and in Chinese medicine, there's a circadian rhythm where each of the organs has its peak time. Like, for example, 3 to 5 a.m. is the lung time. And so that's when they recommend wake up and do breathing practices. And then after that is large intestine, and that's when you move your bowels. And then after that is digestion time. That's when you eat your breakfast. And so they have these kind of rhythms that kind of correspond to life, but not everybody's going to get up at between 3 and 5 a.m. and do breath work. And so you don't necessarily need to, there's just a little more energy available, but like the liver is 1 to 3 a.m. So you don't necessarily need to get up at 1 a.m. and massage your liver points. But it's nice to know that there's some rhythm to our organs and that Qi peaks like tides through the meridian systems at different times. And if you like that kind of stuff, you can use that information to your advantage. But for me, it's just good information. And then I go about my day as I do and stimulate massage or stimulate points and massage points when I need them, and also do Qigong practices when it's convenient for me. So that's kind of a more personal thing. And if you do like to look at those rhythms and say, oh, hey, I'm going to get up at 3 a.m. and massage my my liver points, and then at 5 a.m. I'm going to massage my lung points and work with the clock. It's just another tool that you can add in your repertoire of balancing energy, but it's not the only tool, and it's not essential to healthy circulating energy.
Beautiful. And Mary Beth has a question. I have some neurological eye issues. How can Qigong help with these?
Okay, so nervous system and eyes are the wood element. And so what we would want to do is take a look at the wood element, start doing practices that balance the wood element. So wood element and liver healing sounds. I would say Qigong for high blood pressure, that routine is really balancing the liver, and it could be translated to healthy eyes or energy in the head. And so that's how we would look at it in Chinese medicine, because we don't say, hey, high blood pressure. We say liver yang rising when we look at Qigong terms. So we're going to diagnose what's going on in your energy system. And then once we know what's going on in your energy system, we're going to create a balancing Qigong practice for that. Or we're going to use pressure points or herbs that will balance the energy. Once your energy is balanced, then the symptoms go away. And that's how Chinese medicine works. It looks at the root cause rather than the symptom. And the benefit of that is that you might get a cascade of positive side effects, because usually when there's energy imbalance, not only is there an eye issue or headache, maybe there's stress or there's hard time sleeping. And so when you look at the root, all the other side effects go away with that healing response. And so that's how Chinese medicine is going to look at it. So for eyes, look at the liver and look at the wood element, do liver flows and liver healing sounds, liver acupressure points.
Perfect. And Kathy is curious. I have a right trigger thumb and severe arthritis in both hands. What can I do to alleviate this?
Now, for the hands, flowing movements, when you make your hands like water and move them through space, they say make your hands like jellyfish moving in water. Often in Qigong, you'll see the hands moving depending on how the flow goes. And this pumping action moves a lot of healing energy into the hands. So I'd say spend time with the flows. Of course, we have a program for it, because we have programs for just about everything. We've been busy the last few years filming out in nature. So we have Qigong for arms, wrists, and hands. So that could be carpal tunnel, arthritis, tendinitis in, the arms, wrists, and hands. So try that program. I would say do that 2 or 3 times a week. And then also just spend more time doing flows and finding a few flows that you like and really getting that energy into the hands.
Perfect. And that should do it for questions on Facebook.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate that.
Of course.
Well, we've got a little bit of time, and we do, as usual, like to bring a couple of folks up, if we can, to ask their questions directly of Lee. And I got a lot of folks jumping the gun. They got your hands raised, so I'm going to lower all the hands, but I did see your names. So if you're still around and you still want to ask your question, the reason we do that is because sometimes people wander off or they get pulled away, and then we call on them and it doesn't work. So I've got my eye on those who already had their hands raised. Got time for probably 2. So I do see some folks who already had their hand raised. That's great. Coming right up. Jenny. Jenny will be here momentarily. Hello, Jenny.
There. Oh,
Hi.
yeah. All right. Can you hear me? There.
We can see you. Hey, Merry Christmas to you too.
What's that? Oh, oh yeah. I just needed to have some lights. I've got up my tree. I've got up all my lights, and it just makes me happy. So, and I don't have a question. I mean, I have a million questions, but no. I just want to say how much I appreciate what you and Lee and Zach and the team does all the time. And so I'm just sending you happy Thanksgiving and a grateful heart. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that.
That's so sweet. Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I was just looking in the Q&A and somebody had said that they had been diagnosed with COPD and then 2 years ago, and now they've been doing better breathing, and they went and got their lung function test and they were way better than they were 2 years ago. So they were sending some appreciation too. So thanks, Jenny.
Thanks, Jenny.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas to you. I'm glad that you got your house all spruced up, and I hope you have a great holiday.
It'll be kind of lonely, but I will have this Zoom and, you know, WhatsApp. So, yep.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go for a walk.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you very soon.
You're very welcome, like this afternoon, this evening.
Yes. Yeah, we do have class today, so I'll probably see you there.
You betcha. Thanks. Okay.
That's beautiful. So sweet. Leslie, you're next, and it should be doing the Kansas City Shuffle here. There we go. Hi, Leslie. Get your video and your audio going. There we are, the video and the audio. Hi, we can hear you. Go right ahead.
Hi. My best friend's just been told that she's got cancer. I know that Lee had said about the healing sounds. Is there anything else I can do to help her with that?
Okay, I mean, this is a challenging diagnosis, and it brings up a lot of emotional energy for people, rightfully so. So yes, healing sounds. Do these in the evening, and you can start to work into the vocalized healing sounds. All the sounds are going to be great, but the vocalized especially good for breaking up, you know, tumors or, you know, the stagnation that cancer can cause. But healing sounds in general, and then a little more skillfully would be the vocalized healing sounds. It's best to do those in the evenings because it promotes good sleep. And when you get good sleep, the natural healing power of the body starts to ignite. Then I'm going to also recommend for her to do like Qigong for anxiety or emotional balance, some of the emotional work, because we get stressed out when we have a diagnosis like that. And if we can keep our emotions calm and we can transform stress into life force energy, it's going to also help the healing process. The idea is to reignite the natural healing power in the body. And overall, Qigong is very good for that. So healing sounds at night, and do some emotional work during the day. You can look at the Qigong for emotional balance as a workshop in the previous workshop, or Qigong for anxiety. Those were 2 workshops that I did, but I often recommend those for someone going through a tough diagnosis to keep those emotions balanced so that the healing power can start to get ignited.
Right.
Okay, well, good luck, and good luck to your friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's true. So much of it is emotional, isn't it, Lee? The process, the Western process is such a, it's quite literally poisoning yourself and also the cancer cells with chemo or radiation. And then if you're able to kind of get the emotional stress and the tension and the anxiety, all that stuff out of the way, your body naturally will reactivate its healing and start to recover from the poison between the treatments. My father died of cancer a couple of years ago, and he wouldn't do any of this stuff. And so it just sort of watched him every time he'd go have a poison treatment deteriorate more and more, because in between his body never got a chance to heal and recover and heal and recover. He was so tense. He was so wound up. He was so fearful and anxious, understandably, obviously, but he didn't have these tools to release all that, to let the body's natural healing ability just turn back on, you know? So strong recommendation from Lee. Deal with the emotional side. That's why the healing sounds are so effective for this as well.
Yeah. Thanks for
Good
sharing
luck.
that. I mean, I think that's common. I think so many people would get that diagnosis and we just hunker down into the Western treatments and hope for the best. But really, we want to self-empower and do what we can. And complementary medicine is fine. You know, go get the, you know, the radiation or the treatment if you need it, and that feels right for you. But then in between, do your healing work, do your healing sounds and your Qigong, your acupressure, do your natural medicine, so that you can clear the side effects of a treatment as well, because you know, it's very hard on the system to get radiation or anything. So we want to, you know, do acupuncture and Chinese medicine, build the energy back up, and then it works wonderfully well as a complement to do it that way. So there's a lot of choices and it's confusing, but you can always come back to your own practice. You can always do some healing work on yourself, whether it's breathing, exercise, meditation, little healing sounds, a few flows, and just get back in tune with your own energy, because you are powerful and your body has healing power. And we forget that, and we're not taught that. And often a Western medicine approach can be disempowering, and we want to re-empower so that we can start to work on and get to know ourselves. And when we overcome an illness or a problem, it feels very empowering. So, and that's what we want to help people, you know, go on that journey of self-healing.
Good luck to your friend, Leslie.
Thanks.
Take care. Well, Lee, with that, we have just a few minutes left. And I always like it when you send us off with a little bit of a closing ceremony of some sort, some kind of closing, become present and close the container that we've all had here together. So are you ready to facilitate that?
Do that. Hey guys, thanks for having tea, having the conversation, getting together. I feel so much gratitude that we have our community in this particular time, the support. It feels like a family, and we have different conversations. We're talking about healing and what we're appreciating, how we can connect, how we can tune in, what we can learn from these challenging times, so that we can be stronger and wiser as we move through our days and into, you know, a new future. And so I'm going to just toast and give you my heartfelt blessings and gratitude. Here's to your healing, your health, your vitality, your connections, and may you feel the Qi in this holiday season. Cheers.
You're here. Cheers, indeed. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone, and have a wonderful holiday. We will see you in another couple of weeks for another Tea with Lee, or we'll see you in class, or we'll see you on a teacher training Q&A, or we'll see you somewhere sometime soon, I hope. Thank you so much for joining us, and take care. Bye all.